Welcome back to What She Said Sports. It is 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, 2 days. 2 days left before the NFL draft. Let's get in here. Let's talk. So we'll give everybody a chance to join us. We'll play the intro while everybody gets the notification. It's a lot happening. Shannon Sharp's case just got a lot more interesting. So we're going to try to stick to the conversation, which is the NFL draft. But since Shannon played football, I see a good segue. I see a good segue. So welcome back to What She Said Sports. Wear the craft, subscribe to the journey. Don't sleep on the grind. Hit the like. Let me know. I hope y'all can hear the intro. And Travis is gonna say, well, I know, hit that like. Don't be stingy now. Join the move. That she had my ring over his tattoo, his name, and I know I don't bring my brother around. I do everything about her family. And I have no idea why this is going on. But to say you don't know her, you don't know me. So now. All right. All right, let's see who's in the chat so I can say hello, hello, hello. All right.
From hoops to the griddle, we cover it all. Champions rise and together we never fall. Join the fam, we celebrate every win. What she said, let's meet where the passion begins. Hit that like, don't be stingy now. Join the movement, let's show them how. What she said, we bring the vibes. Together we rose, reaching higher and higher. Welcome aboard, let's make it loud. What she said, rip her out of the crowd.
All right, so tonight I have on my Jackson State t-shirt. I don't know if y'all can see it. 2 days before the NFL draft, so I thought I would celebrate the journey. But we got some good news in terms of the draft. Some interesting stories. Press conferences were held by teams today, pre-draft press conferences. Now, the first thing I heard early today, was that the Tennessee Titans have decided they're going to keep their number one pick. In their press conference, they decide, you know what? We're going to keep our pick and we're going to exercise it. So guess what? Somebody's going to be the number one pick in the draft to go to Tennessee. And everybody believes that it is Cam Ward. Everybody. Now, coming out of Atlanta, apparently there have been several teams having conversations with the Falcons about Kirk Cousins. One team in particular is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I wonder if they're now thinking about Kirk Cousins because maybe Aaron Rodgers might decide to retire or he just doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh. And because he hasn't made his decision yet, maybe Pittsburgh is moving on. So earlier today on Twitter, I asked the question, can y'all see Shedeur Sanders and Kirk Cousins in Pittsburgh? Now, I don't see how the Falcons can move Kirk's contract, but apparently they have found a way. So we'll see what happens with Kirk Cousins' contract, if he lands in Pittsburgh or if he remains as QB2 in Atlanta. It has been discussed that Kirk Cousins does not want to be QB2 behind Michael Penix Jr. or any other quarterback. So I got to thinking, if he didn't have a good season last year, and he ends up in Pittsburgh and Shedeur ends up in Pittsburgh, what did I say would happen? Shadeur's going to rise to QB1. So it seems that Kirk Cousins is in a last-ditch attempt to get out of Atlanta from QB2 and to try to get somewhere and be QB1. I don't see Shedeur Sanders being QB2 behind Kirk Cousins. I just don't see it. I think the same thing would happen. And in my opinion, after Kirk Cousins' year last year, I think it would be a travesty to have someone as talented as Shedeur. Okay, so let me know your thoughts on if Kirk Cousins lands in Pittsburgh. If you think that's a good move or not. And if he goes to Pittsburgh, do you think he will be QB1 or QB2, whether Shedeur is there or not? I personally think QB2. He just don't want to be QB2 in Atlanta. So we'll see. Let me know your thoughts there. All right. So while we all wait anxiously to see if Tennessee is going to draft Cam Ward, I mean, they might pull a fast one and draft Travis Hunter. They did say they wanted to keep their quarterback. And I don't think they have traded him. And Tennessee previously was one of the teams in the hunt for Kirk Cousins. So I don't know what's going to really happen there. But here's the thing. I wouldn't go buy a house just yet. I would just wait. I would just wait to hear my name called. And then there's the Dallas Cowboys. Now, they had their pre-draft press conference. And their interesting takeaway was they care more about getting to know the player as a person than they do the skill set of the player. I mean, they care about the skill set, but they want to get to know the person. That's basically what they're saying. So I don't know who the Cowboys are looking at. At one point, it was Ashton Jeanty. So maybe they'll end up with a running back. Maybe they won't. I have no idea what they're doing. Now, remember, some people said that Shiloh could land in Dallas. So I'm wishing Shiloh luck. He's getting a lot of love today. He's actually trending. I guess it's a channel, social media channel called NFL Rookie Watch wrote a good piece on Shiloh, and it was based off stats. And off the stats, Shiloh is like the top third or fourth safety in college football. We knew he was the hardest hitting safety last year. And out of the 40-yard dash, it was discussed in that piece that there was personnel there, scouts, who clocked Shiloh at a 4.48, which was the fastest of all safeties, in the top safeties in the draft. Cameron Silver-Craig was listed right after Shiloh. So I was talking about this before we went live here at home. You know, I really think when I said after the Big 12 Pro Day that some of our guys in the Big 12 got snubbed because the Big 12 had its own Pro Day. And in other words, there's 500 players and only 300 could go to the combine. And the Big 12 only had 34 overall. Now, I know y'all going to say, but Shiloh probably got snubbed because his last name is Sanders. I mean, that may be true. But then there is Cameron Silver-Craig, Justin Myers. I believe that the reason there were only 34 players coming out of the Big 12 was because the Big 12 had its own pro day. And they were like, well, we can use this for other players since they're going to get their own pro day. That's really what I think. That's truly what I believe, because if a social media page called NFL Rookie Watch can put out the 40-yard times and show that Shiloh's the fastest and had the third or fourth most turnovers, and you think they don't know that in the NFL? Those stats are available for all of us to go look at. So they knew that. And I believe he's getting drafted. I think the media was trying to make it look like something else by saying, oh, he'll probably get an undrafted free agent tryout with the Dallas Cowboys. Why would the fourth fastest safety in college football only get a tryout? You see what I'm saying? And think about it. They didn't talk about anybody else from Colorado. So who is the media making it about? The media is making it about Coach Prime. Did they not do the same thing when we were in the middle of football season? Who was it that started the vicious rumor that Coach Prime was leaving and going to the same team as Shedeur? The media. How many children that play football at CU belong to Coach Prime? 2. They only talked about 1. Why would Coach Prime leave and go somewhere with Shedeur and not take Shiloh, or Shiloh go somewhere too? That was the media. And I have a feeling when we get to this draft, we're going to see how much of the negativity and hate that came towards Shedeur was the media. And there needs to be consequences from the NFL to the media. You know, I noticed the NFL is kind of courting some YouTubers. They need to keep doing that. I think the media's time is not as urgent as it was to get the story out. That's what social media does now. And if you can get reputable podcasters to who in my opinion actually do the analysis, that actually sit down, take the time, measure the stats, do the analysis, cover the games. It's been proven that a lot of these media people don't even know what be going on sometimes. Like the lady that said Travis Hunter wasn't at the CU's showcase, CU's pro day. I'm like, lady, do you not know who Travis Hunter is? Or did you not watch the showcase? And when your mic was hot, you just started talking. So I personally believe that the NFL needs the exact consequences for the media for trying to disparage NFL draft prospects, in particular, Shedeur Sanders. Now we see when they tried to ask what was the hype about with Arch Manning, that got shut down real fast. But Shedeur, as of today, still is the only one. Oh, he's falling to Pittsburgh. Why couldn't Pittsburgh trade up to 21, from 21 to 1? And it does seem like Pittsburgh is being forced. When I heard about Kirk Cousins going to Pittsburgh, I just shook my head. I'm like, it seems like Mike Tomlin has no kind of power at all. That's why I don't want Shedeur to go there. And this morning, you know, somebody put out a story. Well, I know I can't say for sure that who's going to New Orleans, but I know for sure it's not Shedeur Sanders. I was like, you know what? Good. Because after this whole Zion Williamson debacle, they fired the Saints coach. Now they fired the GM of the Pelicans, and they're asking what to do with Zion Williamson. It's been 6 years. You don't know? That's what I meant by New Orleans politics probably not going to make that happen. Even though I stand by, they should have traded up from 9 to 1. But Cam Jordan told us in the first round, they haven't picked a QB in the first round since Arch Manning. And it looks like they're going to stay true to that and possibly get Jackson Dart in the second or at 9. We shall see. So right now, Shedeur is closely linked to Pittsburgh, but I think Shedeur knows where he's going. I think everybody knows where they're going. A few people probably don't, but Travis probably knows where he needs to be looking for a house or apartment or however he want to do it. So the draft news is starting to settle down. Tomorrow is day 1 before day 0. Mock drafts have officially, been done. I was playing around with one online at this one particular site. We might use it tomorrow. I familiarized myself with it. I just want to see how I want to execute it with us tomorrow. I just think it will be fun because you can pick from all the picks that are out there from all teams. You can pick all 7 rounds, or you can pick teams that you like and just want to draft their prospects. So it looks like it might be fun. So we might play with that tomorrow. Now, Shedeur was asked, is he going to ghost any GMs that call him on draft day that he don't want to go to their teams? Of course not. Hell, they're probably staying outside of wherever he is at his dad's house. They'll probably be in Dallas tomorrow. So, I think that's funny. It says they should have had a left time with Shiloh at the laser. It says they should have had a legit time with Shiloh at the laser. Shiloh had a 4.4 legit. Seeing Shiloh faster than LeJounte was wild. Oh, well, one thing about it, though, I said it. Shiloh, when he was injured, we missed his breakaway speed. We missed his ability to tackle and chase down a receiver. And when he came back from injury, what did I say? I said, if the NFL draft Shiloh to do quarterback blitzes alone, they will get their money. Anybody else remember Shiloh's first game? Not the Kansas State game. We had a bye week, I think, after Kansas State, and we played Cincinnati, I believe, or we played Arizona. Whichever game it was after the bye week, After the Kansas game by a week, and then it was another game. Shiloh blitzed the quarterback right out the gate and set the momentum for the game. It was crazy. I was like, nah, that's Shiloh. And that's when I said, if he go to the NFL and that's all he does is quarterback blitzes, I'm like, yeah, they going to get their money's worth. Right now, he's being considered the steal of the draft. You know, they never talked about his times. All they talked about was a 4.5, whatever, when he ran a 4.48, which makes him the fastest of the top safety group, faster than Malachi Starks, who's a high draft prospect, Will Johnson, who's a high draft prospect. What the media didn't want to do, and this is insane to me. This is the media, and I'm like, didn't Coach Prime work in the media for like 17 to 20 years? Why would they do him like this? I thought that was crazy, because I'm like, how do you work in an industry that all of a sudden people in that industry want to trash you, and then to go to Shedeur and say, well, you know, this is how it go. No, it's not, because you couldn't get away with it with Arch Manning out the rip. Got shut down for it. I just find it bizarre that the man is legendary in the NFL and the NFL does nothing about it. I find it extremely bizarre that he worked in sports media for 20 years. And this is how they treat him. And then it's not like they talked about, Colorado got 16 players for the draft. After that pro day, you could see how much talent CU actually had all last year just by looking at the guys who worked out at the showcase. And I said this year, we're not going to wait till the NFL draft to point that out. And my season 2, or this is technically my season 3, of covering CU, because I went to the games as a fan when they were at Jackson State. But on the first year, I actually did make videos. And then on year 2, I spent, the whole season covering them. So this would be my year 3, just like it's Coach Prime's year 3, putting out talent, talking about the talent, because they didn't just snub Shiloh and Shedeur. I told people, y'all wouldn't have ever thought that they came and talked about Jalen Milroe ran a 4.37 and went right past it and went back to not talking about him. Jalen Milroe is a top QB. I don't know where he's going to land, but the media didn't show him any love either. He ran a 4.37, they talked about it, and they moved on. Cam is the most consistent QB to Tennessee. I'm not 100% certain that's what Tennessee is going to do with their pick. Because this is how I look at it. If that's what you're going to do, wouldn't you have stood pat on your decision? But the fact that you were hemming and hawing, you wanted to talk to Shedeur, he was like, I'm good. Y'all solid on Cam. And then they was like, we want to trade the pick. They started with that. We want to trade the pick, this, that, and the other. I mean, they were so indecisive. So I'm like, how did you all of a sudden say, you know what, we're going to draft it? That's what you did? After the wishy-washiness, the back and forth, or was that the media? I think it was actually Tennessee, because only Tennessee could say they wanted to get rid of that pick. And people ask, that's insane. You should have, if you don't pick the Heisman winner first, you don't pick Cam, you don't pick Abdul Carter, or Shedeur Sanders. They were hot on Shedeur for a long time, but I just didn't see them picking him. At one point we did around the Shrine Bowl, but then we moved off of that. But they might surprise us. So I'm not 100% certain on who Tennessee's picking. I don't think anybody is, other than the people who are involved in the selection in Tennessee. And I'm just going to go and say it. I will not be surprised if it's not a quarterback. I'll be like, well, that's kind of what I thought. And then the second pick of the draft, the Browns. Now, that's where things going to start changing. Since Tennessee have said, we are not trading our number 1 pick, it's now up to the Browns. Are they going to take Shedeur, or are they going to trade with the number 16, the Raiders? That's what I think is going to happen. I think Shedeur is going to end up with the Raiders. I think the Vegas Raiders are trading up at 2 for Shedeur Sanders. I don't think it was coincidence he was pictured with Geno Smith. I think he may have always have known. I think the affinity for the Browns was more about they were willing to either trade him, to pick him and trade him to Vegas, or to make the trade with Vegas. That's kind of what I've always thought. It has something to do with Vegas. But I didn't have a problem with Shedeur playing in Cleveland. Now, Cleveland fans, they're like, yeah, we don't know if that's a good idea, because they might kill his career. And then there's the Giants. I always say they gonna get Jackson Dart. I'm still gonna stand by it. If not, they gonna take Travis. And I don't see them trading that pick. I don't see them trading up either. So that's what I think. I was at Jackson State games also. It was lit. Yes, it was. It was fun. It was fun. Hey Jerry, how you doing? How you doing? But yeah, Shiloh and Cameron McCrae both, but Shiloh for sure is getting love after all of the being ignored. And it wasn't just him that was being ignored. Y'all know Cameron McCrae is a shark. So even after the showcase, they didn't say much. I think this is about the Big 12 Pro Day. And the Big 12 has their own Pro Day, so they don't really need to come to the combine. That's really what I think it's about. Shiloh got love at the Shrine Bowl. He also got hated on at the Shrine Bowl. But I do believe it's the media saying, oh, he's only going to be an undrafted free agent. I feel like that's the media. I don't think that that's the NFL, because you have to think about it. Last year, the first year at CU, they went 4-8. They ended up with 4 walk-ons. Most teams don't get players into the NFL if they have a losing record, a losing season. And don't forget, maybe not at year 1 at Jackson State, but at year 2 Jackson State, there was some young men that were drafted, even though they were undrafted free agents. Aubrey Miller, I think he's still in the NFL. Anybody remembers Aubrey Miller? So Coach Prime has some connections. That's why I think this is the media. And I do find it weird. It's the media, and Coach Prime was in the media for 20 years, 17 to 20 years. That's just nuts. It's like they just have the media has it in for him. Don't forget, Roger Goodell's, was it his grandson, was on Coach Prime's roster at Jackson State. We saw Shedeur talking to Roger Goodell in New Orleans. And Shedeur was just talking to Roger Goodell, and he said something about worried about your dad. And Shedeur was like, what you worried about him for? Because he was like, what? So they have relationships. These people know each other. I think this is the media. I don't know why they would do it, but I think the NFL needs to do something about it. But I'm happy to see Shiloh get love, not just in the form of a story about his life, but his stats, his numbers. They finally made it to the light. Because the media just didn't want to say the same thing they didn't want to say about Shedeur and Travis. Coach Prime has 2 Heisman candidates. How many times did you hear that? How many times did you hear Coach Prime in his second year at CU has 2 Heisman candidates? You probably can count it on one hand with one finger. There's some decent sports media out there. There's some decent ones out there. They just report what they see. They're not trying to spin it. So, it's just one of those things where now that everything is starting to calm down and people are able to think for themselves, you see Shiloh getting love. That means he could have been got that love from somebody else. But it's coming out now. Cameron McCrae was right under him. Miles said, I was at Jackson State. It was lit. Yes, it was. It said the media just trying to sabotage Shiloh's career, but I hope that Shiloh get on a better team and hope Shiloh get on the same team with Shedeur. I want Jimmy Horn Jr. and Shedeur to go to the same team, 22. But I'm good with Shiloh going wherever he want to go. Now we got to think about this realistically. Where did the turn happen? Because did it ever happen? This is why I say this is the media. This is not the NFL. This is the media. Yeah, that might have been a coach coming for Shedeur's head and the Giants because he was in his feelings. But clearly he's not mature. He's just older. So when the season started, I know I said it multiple times. There were 31 NFL executives and scouts at Colorado's first game of 2024 against North Dakota State. 31. How many of y'all think was at other schools? We don't know because nobody talked about it. So either it didn't happen or maybe it happened in smaller numbers. But they showed up for the first game of year 2. And then what? They were always scouts at CU's practices. So they know who they are. Coach Prime told us it's the way that you practice. That's what the scouts coming out here to see. That's why they said in year one, DJ McKinney was intense at practice. They like he made some money today. And he did. I told y'all, I've read a lot of draft profiles of people gone by. Some people didn't have a good senior season and they got drafted off the strength of the junior season. So I think that was the media concocting stories about Shedeur ignoring Shiloh and everybody else that go to Colorado because they don't want to admit what? Same thing they didn't want to admit about Angel Reese, that she's a beast and she's good. They didn't want to admit that about Coach Prime. I did a video during basketball season for the WNBA last year saying that Angel Reese and Coach Prime get hated on by, I think, the same people. I think they got the same haters. When I started this page, I started it with posts talking about how much hate and vitriol Shedeur Sanders and Angel Reese got. That's when she was at LSU. So they didn't like Angel Reese. They didn't like Coach Prime, Shedeur, Shiloh. What do they all have in common? They're confident people. Angel Reese is confident. She's confident in everything about herself. So is Shedeur. So is Shiloh. People wanted to make it a big deal that Shiloh was asked if he go to the gas station for snacks, what would he get? And Shiloh's response was, I wouldn't go to the gas station for snacks. I drive a Cyber Beast. They thought that was him being cocky. I'm like, if you would have saw it when he wore to practice one day, you would have known he just wealthy and grew up that way. And you can't be mad. And that means you don't know him. And you were being stereotypical, by the way. We don't all go to the gas station for snacks. I mean, I go to QT though. But Shiloh said, I got a Cyber Beast. And it's true. Why would he go to QT? They don't have charges over there. So he didn't get his snacks. But they were upset by that. But do they know he's a musical prodigy? Do they know we think he's a damn genius? We know he's on that line or on the other side of it. They don't know him like that. So they take it the wrong way because they don't know him like that. See, that's why I don't fool with a lot of people. Because people like to say, oh, this person think this about themselves. You don't even know me to know what I think about myself. So that's what they know. They know who Coach Prime is. They assume that's who Shedeur is. Shedeur is his father's son. Let's get clear about that. But he's also different. He is. He's also different. Shiloh, but he's different as well. Hell, Bucket, Shiloh, and Shedeur are all different from each other. You think they know that? The fact that they never even talk about Bucket tells you that this is orchestrated. Bucky's a part of, he right there at Colorado every day. You don't hear them say nothing about Bucky because they know if you know, he's going to pop. People mess with who they think they can get away with it. They picked on Angel Reese. Why? Because it was just Angel Reese. That's how they looked at it. She didn't have no backup in their opinion. But they can't even say what's all the hype about Arch Manning. They can't even say it. So people do what they think they can do, right? For whatever reason, they think they could pick at Coach Prime or snub his sons or pick at Shedeur or ignore Shiloh. They really think this. They would never do this to any of the Mannings. They wouldn't even get away with it. So why did they get away with it? That's the better question. Because they've gotten away with it. That's the better question. Shiloh to the Cowboys. Jerry, that's what I think. To me, I think he should go to the Cowboys. I think he'll be an asset, electrifying on the field to watch play. I'm telling y'all, Shiloh is a dog. People saying he's the steal of the draft. I'm like, well, when you say he's the steal of the draft, you never thought he was good and you're surprised. I don't think anybody should be surprised at NFL if Shiloh on his first opportunity makes an interception. What did he do at Jackson State? The same thing. It was Shiloh's football IQ with the Texas Tech game with that football when nobody else rushed to go get it. That was Shiloh. So, that's where we are. But I feel like situations like that, yes, is wrong. Yes, there should be consequences from the NFL for trying to disparage NFL draft prospects and hurt their draft prospects, but they feel like they could get away with it. Now, y'all heard me say you saw Roger Goodell and Shiloh talking. You know he know Coach Prime. Why would he allow it? Because it's the marketing plan for the draft, and Shiloh just picked the short. I mean, Shador picked the short straw. They want everybody to watch the draft, so we got to beat up on somebody. Why did it have to be Shador? I don't even know if I heard Jackson Dart name 10 times other than in the sentence he gonna sneak into the first round. And I asked, if he good, why is he sneaking? Because that's where some people want him to be, whether he deserves to be there or not. This is about optics. This is about who's leading. This is about who's the majority. Tomorrow, Kirk Cousins decided to hit the field with the Falcons on day one of voluntary workouts. I mean, I don't see nobody moving that contract. So there it is. I think Shiloh could come to the Falcons, but I think it would be excellent to have number 21 come back to the Falcons, but it be the next generation of the Sanders, Shiloh Sanders, because he played a safety. His father was a cornerback. That's defense. Imagine 21 coming back to the A. That's the business moves these people don't make. We were talking about this at home before we went live. They don't be thinking about the right thing. Winning. Let me stack this team so I can win. That's not what's happening. It's like, let me block this. Let me control that. Let me move this out the way. Let me make it appear as this. Let me make it sure it don't appear as that. That's what's happening. That has nothing to do with winning. It has nothing to do with winning. But we're going to be right here to cheer on our guys from CU on day one. I already posted all 3 lives from today, Tuesday. I posted Wednesdays and I posted draft days live. So when you see it, just click on notify me and you'll get the notification as soon as I'm live. It'll just open right on up. So I already put it out there, already working on all 3 shows. Today's just 2 days left. Tomorrow's day one. Day one. I saw Travis on his podcast with Lil Wayne. So Lil Wayne popped up maybe after Travis was having talk about quitting the league. Lil Wayne was like, let me get in there. Let me get in there. Let me talk to you. Because that would be not good for him, right? But he was on Travis's show, and he's probably making the rounds with some of the other guys that he has on the roster. I told y'all Lil Wayne now has a Tunchi jersey from UNC, so he was over there with Belichick. So he making his rounds, to the universities and collecting players, So, I think things are calming down. Tomorrow, I'm not going to say it's quiet. I don't think it'll be quiet. I just think the hatred towards Shador is kind of, there's nothing else to say. The mock drafts are done. If you notice, all of it was around, he's fouling, he's slipping, he's this, is that, and the other. Today was just, he's number 21. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And most people who are not media think that is absurd. They're like, there is no way he would be still sitting there to 21. I'm like, right. But number 21 could trade up to number 1 or number 2 and draft him. And I told y'all, I said, Tennessee have to think about are they really gonna move off that pick or not? Because guess who gonna get it? Somebody that want to draft Shador, and you see they want to keep their pick. I was like, you could go ahead off and move off that pick. See, the conversation changed when they were still talking about after Miami's pro day. They liked, Cam. They had workouts with Cam. They had workouts with Shador. Then Shador canceled his workout. He had one with the Giants. Tennessee was still thinking about moving off that pick. That's when the conversation shifted. The Saints could get Shador. Pittsburgh had already entered the conversation. But the Saints could get Shador. When the Saints entered the conversation at number 9, could possibly trade up to 1 to get Shador. When y'all saw, I even posted about Alvin Kamara out there. You see how the media rushed to smother that story? Well, I don't know who's going to New Orleans, but I know it's not Shador. So you saw Coach Prime with Alvin Kamara. And then you start asking questions. Oh, they really didn't want Shedeur to go to the Saints. Why not? That would have been lovely. But after the whole Zion Williamson thing and knowing that the owner of the Pelicans is the same owner of the Saints, and I said Saints have politics, and Cam Jordan, I do believe he might be right, even though I didn't like his statement because it wasn't forward thinking. But it is what it is. He might be right. Personally, I do think they would have done wonders. It would have done wonders, but I don't know who they're going to end up with. But, it's okay. It's okay. Wherever Shedeur lands, he's going to be successful. That's the point that people are missing. The media was moving around based on who went where. When Tennessee wanted to trade their pick and the Saints could get it and get Shedeur, and that's where all the conversation came through. And Coach Prime was like, yeah, I like the black and gold. Then he was pictured with Alvin Kamara up there. Oh, they lost their minds. I happen to think they did that on purpose to make them lose their minds. Then it was the Giants before that. You don't hear them linking Shedeur to the Giants. Why? Because then they would have 3 black quarterbacks. And one of them going to start. And that would be the first time ever in franchise history the Giants have had a black starting quarterback. So that's why they moved off of that. Then it was the headlines of, well, Mike Tomlin is being advised to draft Shedeur Sanders and make him QB2 behind Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers came out and said, I haven't made a decision. And I said, I think Aaron Rodgers might be on our side, whether we know it or not. Because I think Aaron Rodgers realizes, oh, y'all trying to play me. You trying to use me to block somebody else. Well, I don't know if I'm coming back. So now today, the Steelers are looking at Kirk Cousins because Aaron Rodgers refuses to be used to be blocking somebody. So if they make that deal happen with Kirk Cousins to Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh draft Shedeur at 21, this is about what I dropped, listen up about episode 5, I think. Is there a plot to try to embarrass Shedeur Sanders at the draft? Go listen to it. Go listen. Matter of fact, go to the Listen Up playlist and press play. And if you're in a hurry, pick the one that asks, the episode that says, is there a plot to embarrass Shedeur at the NFL draft? That's what the number 21 pick, him falling, that's what that's supposed to be about. They even tried to say he was going to fall out the second round, but nobody would believe it. Fall out of the first round to the second, but nobody will believe it. The only reason people think he will go to Pittsburgh at 21 is if Pittsburgh trade up, and nobody has a problem with that. When Shedeur went to Pittsburgh, what did he say? The median was a 10. They thought he was going to hate it because it's number 21. So what that tells you is there's 2 things happening where Shedeur is concerned. They don't want him to have a choice because they thought he was making choices by snubbing teams that he didn't want to go to. So somebody's trying to make sure that he doesn't go where he wants to go. And we all know that was what team? The Raiders. You haven't heard about the Raiders in weeks. I actually think that was smart strategy to move off of the Raiders and show love to Cleveland. Cleveland might have a hand in it too. And then the second thing you saw about Shedeur, he wanted to go number 5. He never cared about going number 1. When they realized that, they were like, oh, we're going to drop him down to 21. So when he met with Pittsburgh, great meeting. It was a 10. He reminds me of my dad. They still couldn't light a fire under him with that. So now there's nothing else to say. He don't care if he go to Pittsburgh, but nobody believe he going to be sitting there at 21. And if he does, that's better off for him because Pittsburgh is a better team and went to the playoffs last year. Then the question would be, who's going to be QB1? Because they don't want it to be him. Don't want him to start. Don't want him to go where he wants to go. And they want to negatively affect his draft stock. That was the goal from the beginning. So 21 is supposed to hurt, but it's actually a better team. Nobody wants to go first to the worst team, but somebody who don't have money, who want the guaranteed. Shedeur is already wealthy. He's already wealthy. So him going 1 or 2 don't matter to him. And it's only probably a difference of $2 million. It's not guaranteed, but okay, we know he's a star. So he don't need it to be guaranteed. Shedeur want to win. And that's the QB everybody wants. The one that we know is, through it all, still a winner. That's what we want. So I don't care where you go. I just know wherever he go, and I hope he understands, it's gonna be some BSery with it. So just let God choose for you. That's what I want to see on draft day. I want to see what God has done. I posted on, I think today's thumbnail, I think was today's show. If you look at the thumbnail, you saw a quote that said, "I've got this from God," because he does. I looked at the posture of Shedeur. He was praying before a game. Shiloh came and put his hand on his shoulder, something that Bucky does so much. And we were talking about this at home. I said, can you imagine? You have a young man who says it out loud that I'm God's favorite. That's why I'm taking all of this heat. That's why all of this negativity is coming my way, because I'm God's favorite. You see this young man pray every time before a game. The same thing, kneel down and either Bucky comes over or Shiloh comes over. And that's who you want to tear down? Wow. That just means y'all evil. That's what it means. You evil if you see somebody making their posture to God and you want to tear them down. You evil. You're not wrong. You're evil. And when you're dealing with evil people, you have to let God choose for you. That's what Coach Prime's commentary was about today when he put out his, I know we all want to be in control, but we have to give the control to God. You're right. Because in situations like this, when you're dealing with people that are evil, people that know for a fact that you have the perfect posture and you give it all to God, you God's favorite, you pray before every game, you a good person all around, you a winner, and they want to tear you down, that's evil. And you can't defeat evil on your own. So Coach Prime was right in what he posted today. Just let God choose. And on draft day, we're going to all see what God has done. So that's basically my podcast for today. I'm going to read y'all's comments and get in here, see what's going on. Shiloh to the Cowboys. Yep, that's where I think he's going to land. It says, it's about now allowing Coach Prime players to ball out as a deterrent to future highly ranked players. I agree with that. Hey, Y2 James, I agree with that. This is about hurting the program. Totally agree. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hey, Kiel, welcome back. Shiloh being undrafted is not a bad thing. He can pick where he wants to go. Oh, well, that's good to know, but he getting drafted, though. I think he really felt some type of way because he said it. I'm ranked better than this was before the showcase. When they snubbed him and he hired those people to come out and help him train with the lasers and everything, he said it. He said, I'm ranked higher than a lot of these guys that got invited to the draft. He's right. And then I didn't see it at the time, but after the Big 12 Pro Day, and I stopped and I looked to see how many players from the Big 12 were invited to the combine, and the whole conference as a whole only had 34 players. I said, I know what they did. They're like, they're going to have a Big 12 Pro Day. So chances are he's going to be there. That's not right. Because I should be at the Big 12 Pro Day and at the combine. But that's what they did. Because the whole Big 12, you think everybody in the Big 12 is lousy? No. Arizona State went to the semifinals. Iowa State went to the Pop-Tart Bowl, got invited to the Pop-Tart Bowl. It said no Audrey Miller in Canada now. He playing in the CFL. He was at Miami Dolphins, but he got cut. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I know he came out of the program. I didn't know he moved on, but okay. Thank you for that, 22. I guess I didn't know there was a Canadian football league. I don't have a problem saying that. I don't know everything. Nor do I claim to, but I didn't know they had one. I guess the only other professional league I thought existed was it the UFL? Because that's all I see. I mean, I see the NFL and the UFL. Is there a European football league too? Maybe there is, and I just don't know. That's not soccer, So, hey, family. How you doing, Crowley? How you doing? It says Coach Prime does have friends in NFL. He says, yeah, I know he does. I'm telling you, it's not easy. For one, the Coach Prime's first year at Jackson State, there were no players drafted from Jackson State or possibly HBCUs at all. Matter of fact, I think I looked last year, they had an HBCU combine. I don't think any of those players got drafted. This year, they had a player from the HBCU who was at the NFL combine, but they didn't really get talk about it. Now, I thought that was interesting, so I don't know if he'll get drafted or not. And then Coach Prime's second year, Like I said, I knew Aubrey Miller with, I feel like it was two people. Is there a James Houston? Does that name sound familiar? I feel like there were two people from Jackson State. And then when Coach Prime get to CU, the whole sabotaging of his program and to try to get it fired, I'm like, nobody is firing the Prime Effect. Nobody. Because I said if Herm Edwards had the Prime Effect at Arizona, he wouldn't have got fired either. But Coach Prime having the Prime Effect, he fared better than a lot of these black coaches like Kevin Sumlin. The way he got treated at Texas A&M, I'll never forgive Texas A&M for that. The way they treated that man and his family, writing them death threats, letters, using racial slur, it was awful over football. And then went and hired somebody, gave him $75 million and did absolutely nothing. So Coach Prime fared better, and I think it was because he had the Prime Effect. But remember, Coach Prime interviewed at FSU and I think Arkansas with the Prime Effect, and they turned it down. But then when he gets on at CU, when he goes to Jackson State with the Prime Effect and everybody come running, then he goes to CU, and they didn't even have the money to hire Coach Prime, but they got it. They acquired it really quickly. And then look where they at now, 9-4 after being sabotaged. And that was to make sure Coach Prime didn't get anybody in the draft. That was to try to hurt recruiting, and it didn't work. We still ended up 9-4 this year, Julian Lewis, and we got Kaden Salter, who could have went to Syracuse with Fran Brown. We have 3 QBs. We don't just have 2. We have 3. I'm shocked that nobody has picked up Ryan Staub, to be honest. Cash Cleveland is still in the portal. 3 other people have transferring out, but nobody's talking about it because now we all are on the same page. It's the normal course of business. Cash Cleveland, people are saying, he's striking while the iron is hot. He has leverage because he played so well at CU. And I'm like, right. But did he leave in a grateful manner? There was a young man that Coach Prime posted his thank you because he's entering the transfer portal. And apparently you can be nominated to be transferred. And he wrote a beautiful thank you to Coach Prime. He said, you've done more for my life and not just in football. You will always have an effect on my life. He didn't have to say that, but that's what I said you should do. Say thank you. Because what you get at CU under Coach Prime is not just football. That's why he was teaching the NIL class up there. It's not just football. It's life. And it changes you. For everybody who's been following Coach Prime since Jackson State, we have no problem in public talking about God. And there was a group that wanted Coach Prime to stop praying. And you see he's still praying. And we right here with him. These are the people the media is trying to tear down. Pay attention. Coach Prime was like, for God's sakes, it's Easter Sunday. I'm like, exactly. In the face of Easter, you still gonna do this? That tells you they don't have a connection to God. So they don't want you to have one either. But we understand how God works in our lives. We wouldn't be here without it. So we're gonna see what God has done at this NFL draft. And if Shedeur go right off the board at 2, then y'all gonna know it was the media trying to slander him the whole time. And the NFL need to do something about it. The NFL need to, if you see the NFL start courting YouTubers, then good. Because these analysts, they don't deserve their jobs. They're not even doing their jobs. They're not even paying attention. They just collecting the check and ganging up on young people. Shiloh being undrafted means he can pick and be with his brother if he wants. Okay, well, that's a plus. That's a plus. I don't know if they want to go to the same place. Y'all think, let me know in the comments, yes or no, if y'all think Shiloh and Shedeur should continue on playing football on the same journey, or should they, this is where they should part ways. I feel like Shedeur and Jimmy should go to the same place, and Shiloh should go his own route, just like when he went to South Carolina, and maybe they meet up later. But I don't know. I think I would like to have Shiloh in Dallas or Atlanta or New Orleans or Pittsburgh, to be honest. I'll take any of those teams. But he might end up in Vegas. He might. He says he knows somebody who knows somebody. It's a plan. Yeah, it is a plan. Shiloh undrafted, he'll pick. So y'all like Shiloh undrafted. Okay, all right. Well, y'all like Shiloh undrafted. Okay. It's a package. Sanders staying together. I feel Shiloh undrafted, and he'll pick where his brother is. Okay, I didn't see that coming, but y'all have convinced me that it's good for Shiloh to go undrafted because he can choose. Okay, all right. Y'all have made me a believer. I'm going to roll with y'all on that one. The Giants. Max say the Giants. Did you hear that Ocho on his show said Jackson Dart is number 2 QB in the draft, and Bucky responded and told him, why are you saying it now? That was today, just 2 days from draft. Okay, I saw the headline, but honestly, I was paying attention to what was going on with Shannon Sharp. Because I know Ocho spends time at the circus. I know this. In one of the 3 rings. You know how I know this? He's one of the first few posts on this page. He went after Angel Reese talking about she couldn't cry when people were antagonizing her and ganging up on her. I said, so she can't have no emotions. That's what you're saying. Then he's one of the people that changed his damn vote in the MVP draft to vote against Lamar Jackson. He changed his vote. This guy is the kind of person that racists like to get because they can use them, as my late stepfather said, as a useful idiot. That's just what it is. Because you don't care about nothing but trying to please people who don't even like you. So what that makes you is a useful idiot. That's the term that I was taught. That's what it is. That's what it is. So I'm not surprised. I heard Bucky went after him. I didn't know what he told him. But that's who that guy is. I don't even watch him. Honestly, I like his co-host. If I have to choose between Chase Daniel and Emmanuel Ocho, I hate to tell y'all, I might choose Chase Daniel. That's how bad off Emmanuel Ocho is. He has no integrity. He has no credibility. Some people say he's on the show to be like Molly. Molly's just a moderator. When I heard Ocho, or I think I heard him say somewhere that he played in the league, I was shocked. I was shocked. But he is somebody that seems to like licking the boots of people who don't like people like him. And he thinks he's currying favor when he's just being a useful idiot. Miles said Shiloh was going to the Raiders. Pittsburgh. Okay. Raiders, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got him. Okay. All right. Cam Ward to Tennessee. Shedeur to Cleveland. Travis to New York, in my opinion. I think that's the way people have it, except they changed Cleveland from Shedeur to Abdul Carter. So they're saying we're going to do the mock draft tomorrow. I actually, let's see if I can show y'all what it looks like so y'all can get excited, because I'm going to need y'all to do some little homework so y'all can know what some teams need, so y'all can know who's out there. Let's see if I can get it. Let's see. Well, anyway, here it is right here. Let's see if I can get the mock one. Yeah, mock draft. So yeah, this is fun. It's a simulator. That's all it is. I didn't even know the NFL have one too. A lot of people have one. Some of them you could pay for. Let's see. Okay, so let me see if I can. I don't know if I can show y'all this because it's going to change everything on my screen. All right, we're doing a mock draft tomorrow. So what you need to know is who, because you can do 7 rounds, but we just going to do the first round. Now, tomorrow is the one day before the draft. So y'all, a lot of y'all seem well-versed and can pick up to 3 teams. So we'll probably try to see if we can get through the first 10 teams in the first round. If you just kind of glance and see who's out there, you'll know who you kind of want to pick. We already kind of have said the first 5. We think it's Cam Ward, Shedeur, Travis at 3. What did we say was 4 to the Patriots? McMillan. We said McMillan was 4 to the Patriots. 5 is Jacksonville, Abdul Carter. So we kind of know 5 people. So maybe we can get through 10. We're going to do it tomorrow. It's the draft simulator. It's fun. And we just pick. And you get 10 minutes, or you could do the turbo mode, which make it go faster. But since it's a podcast and we do maybe the first 10, we'll just maybe do the first 10 minutes. So I'm gonna need y'all to at least just start kind of looking at who the first 10 teams need, so we could just kind of go through it smoothly and have fun with it tomorrow. All right, so I hope y'all got that. Mock draft tomorrow. What she said, first ever mock draft as a podcast community. So Pittsburgh coach relates too much with two. It's a wrap. Oh, so you think, okay. I mean, I don't want Shedeur not to go to Pittsburgh, but I see what's happening. I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing with Mike Tomlin. I see it. And I know what they're trying to do with Shedeur. They trying to force Mike Tomlin to take Shedeur, and then they trying to force Mike Tomlin to relegate Shedeur to keep QB2. That's why I didn't want him to go to Pittsburgh, because they own Mike Tomlin like they own him. They trying to tell him what to do. See, I don't like that, because it's basically saying you didn't have the right to bring Justin Fields here. You didn't have the right to bring Russell Wilson here. That's how they feeling. That's how they're feeling. It's because they hired him. He's been there 17 years, and then suddenly he makes a decision that they don't like, and it involves Russ. That's why Justin Fields got out of there. He knows what's going on too, not just me. And I know it's other people that know, because there are people that have said they only trying to force Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh, so when he messes up, they gonna fire Mike Tomlin. And when the whole draft conversation started after the combine, and I think Pittsburgh entered the chat, it was said by the media, the coach that drafts Shedeur Sanders could find himself out of a job. So now that we nearing the end, they trying to force Shedeur to be chosen by Mike Tomlin, and all of a sudden Kirk Cousins, they're gonna figure out what to do with that contract, that heavy contract. They need ratings. I'm cool. I agree they need ratings, but you don't need to trash Shedeur to get ratings. You can make it fun. You can make it interesting. You don't have to make it, you don't have to disparage a person so that you go, oh, let me go watch the draft. I mean, I'm going to watch it or I'm not, or I'm going to wait till the next morning. I mean, that's actually a turnoff. It's actually a turnoff. But yeah, they said Shedeur names in the caption brings a lot of clicks. I'm like, so it has to be negative? So let's see if they apologize to him, because, you know, they like to issue out apologies. That's the latest trend. Oh, I owe Jalen Hurts an apology. I owe Lamar Jackson an apology. Look who they apologizing to. God got him. Absolutely. God got him. He sure does. TSU a whipping. What, Mac? TSU whipping. Shiloh will be straight. Okay. Yeah, no, Shiloh gonna be good. He gonna be good. I just don't like the way they did him. Jackson State, Wilson was lit. Okay, Wilson. Okay, I know it was somebody, James Houston, I thought, though. FSU didn't want Prime. That's wild, right? And when they lost, when they got booted out of, remember Florida State got booted out of the 4-team playoff because their quarterback broke their leg? Who was the quarterback, by the way? Jalen somebody? You know what people were saying? I bet if they had hired Coach Prime as their coach, they would have got in. You see? That's how you know this is the media. Coach Prime is, this man has so much credibility. He's still speaking in corporate America. Did y'all know when Coach Prime went to Jackson State and brought the Prime effect with him, and everybody saw how it turned things around, which is how he got to Colorado? Understand that. It wasn't just the football. Don't think that for 5 seconds. There was money coming with that. And you see they got it. $90 million right off the rip. Remember that? So when Coach Prime was at Jackson State, there were articles in the news that corporations were trying to bring Coach Prime in to teach their marketing and communication teams on how he did it at Jackson State. How did you get so many people to pay attention? That's not easy to do. It's not. It's not easy to do. I want 1 million subs. But I'm going to need, if I took a master class from Coach Prime, I probably would get it like that. But on my own, and I think highly of myself when it comes to my intellect, it's not easy. It's not easy to get the world to pay attention. It's not. And that's why I think it's a gift. And that's why I think that them trashing him shows that they're evil, because they can't even make that happen. If you could, you wouldn't be using Shedeur's name in your headlines all the time. They pointed out when Cam and Shedeur was working out together, Cam didn't really have social media yet. And he posted one of his first videos, and he used Shedeur in the caption, and somebody said, Now you know that he the number one QB because you need his name in your caption and your video to get people to look at it. So what team is passing up on that? We know Florida State passed on it with Coach Prime. Shiloh and Shedeur on the same team. Yeah, that would be all over again. Atlanta should have been Atlanta. It should have been the Saints. It should have been Tennessee. To be honest, I could see both of them at Tennessee. Then again, I was saying maybe Tennessee wasn't good because Ja Morant in Memphis it's not a good combination. It's not a good combination. That whole situation. So maybe Tennessee is not necessarily it. I heard people moving out of Memphis like crazy, trying to get to Chattanooga. Then you have Pittsburgh. Now, I said I wanted Shedeur to go to Pittsburgh with Jimmy Horn. So I don't know if we're going to get Shedeur, Jimmy Horn, and Shiloh on the same team. But boy, if we did. I mean, so if we go with y'all's scenario, Shedeur get picked the first day. I said Jimmy Horn should be a late first round pick. I stand firm on that. But if he don't go in the first round, he should definitely be high to mid second round. And let's say he goes to Pittsburgh's second pick, and then Shiloh go undrafted. And y'all saying it's a good thing. I think he might be in his feelings, but then he could choose to go to Pittsburgh, and that's how all three of them could get there. I like it. I like it. Yes, James Houston is playing at Detroit Lions. He's from Detroit, best player. So, see, it is somebody still there. Okay, I knew it. I just kind of remember. I have on my Jackson State t-shirt. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I was wearing it today. It said Prime interviewed 2 schools, and they did not want him. I think that's Florida State and Arkansas. So when people think Coach Prime, when they were talking about him going, leaving Colorado for whatever reason, which was nothing to try to scare off recruits, people like, oh, he going back to Florida State. I think Stephen A. said that. I was like, Coach Prime not going back to Florida State. I don't even think he liked Florida State after how he was treated down there, I guess. And he ended up getting his degree. He could have got his degree from Florida State. He got his degree from Talladega, which is in Alabama, by the way. No, you're right, Mac. I get it. I get what you're saying. Jackson said that Shiloh can be a Falcon or a Raider. Yep, I agree. Or Cowboy. He could go to Dallas too. It said Cash Cleveland's supposed to be going to Mississippi State with former coach from Colorado. I read that. You're right. He's supposed to be going with Load Hope. Now, we talked about this at home too. Okay. How on earth does that happen? Did Coach Prime pick up the phone and maybe make a phone call for Cash? I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Now, one person said they felt like Coach Low Hope was betraying Coach Prime by maybe trying to poach Cash Cleveland, and that's why Cash hopped in the portal. So we're going to have to see what happens. And it took a couple of days for Isaiah Augustave. It took a couple of days for his profile to update to, what's that? UVA, Virginia? But it did change. And there's been no mention of the NCAA looking into tampering by Virginia. I guess as long as it's Colorado, it's okay. And a lot of people are losing players. I think Penn State lost a very a VIP type player to the portal the day before the blue and white game. I saw headlines that said Georgia gets a big blow to the transfer portal. Now let's talk about NIL contracts right fast. All right. So Nico shouldn't have had a contract like he had. Okay. An NIL contract, the only one you could really have out here right now, is for name, image, and likeness. And it was given to him by the collective from Tennessee. So I went back and did some research. There were a lot of people questioning Tennessee giving Nico a 4-year contract like he was in the NFL. That's what they did. But it was for name, image, and likeness. And it was an integrity clause that if his behavior was unacceptable, they could terminate the contract. So when Nico said he wanted to renegotiate his contract, I was like, are you in the NFL? Because most NIL deals are for 1 year. Now, maybe Travis' NIL deal, since he was gone from Colorado when he signed it, might be a year or two, but he was already gone. And that wasn't through the collective. See, when it's through the collective, it's just 1 year. So they were trying to lock up a 17 or 18-year-old in high school by flashing $8 million in his face. But when he got old enough, and they signed it, but when he got old enough to realize what happened, oh, we trying to lock you in for cheap. Yeah, we knew the price was going to go up, but we locked you in. You can't go nowhere. I, for the life of me, don't even know why the football team, his contract was with the collective, not the football team. The collective is like boosters, but, not really supposed to be. Honestly, I wouldn't have got in it. I wouldn't have got in it because I'm like, I don't know why you gave him a 4-year contract. Even Coach Prime said it. They out here trying to get these kids on contracts. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be a deal that they can use your name, image, and likeness for 4 years. So if Nico had a deal where Tennessee could use his name, image, and likeness for 4 years, and that's all it was, and you put an integrity clause in it because you don't want it to embarrass, you, how the hell are you so mad that he want to leave? Because you made it about more than what it was supposed to be. And you try to tarnish his reputation. That's why there was no breach of contract. That wasn't a standard contract that you see that you could take somebody to court behind. That was so you could I could play football and you use my name, image, and likeness for 4 years. And he changed his mind because he wanted more money. But see, people not talking about that. But they are talking about Cash Cleveland had the right to strike while the iron is hot. Nico had Tennessee in 3rd place in the SEC as QB. Now, if you don't think he has something to do with it, I don't know how you get there without your QB. So he was striking while the iron is hot. The difference is Tennessee did something they should have never done. Try to lock in a high school kid for 4 years knowing kids want to move around. So he probably didn't even know he didn't have a real contract, but he figured it out when he wanted to leave because he knew he wasn't in breach of anything. And yes, there are coaches that believe that is ridiculous. Just like there are college football coaches. I think it might be Mississippi State coach who said he questions the NIL value for Carson Beck. Carson Beck came in at a 4-star. Most of these kids with that kind of money coming in at 5 stars. And they perform well. Arch Manning sits at the top. Cooper Flagg is 2nd. And Carson Beck is 3rd. And 4th on the list is Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. We saw that kid perform when they played in the NAC. I ain't seen Carson Beck ball out like that. So why he have $4.3 million, I have no idea. And that lies the problem. You got the rest of these kids who actually are performing and lifting, putting their teams on their backs. Cooper Flagg literally put the whole March Madness for men on his back. So if he would have wanted to go back and ask for $6 million like Arch Manning, he would have been right to do so. But he getting ready to leave. That's why he ain't worried about it. Because he getting ready to be the first pick in the draft. Nico still had more time. So if Cash Cleveland was right to use as leverage his season, so was Nico's. Being number 3 in the SEC is nothing to sneeze at, or everybody would do it. So let's not try to disparage Nico when he's doing exactly what Cash Cleveland did. Just up and left. And the young man that left, Aiden, showed you how to do it. Coach Prime, thank you for everything. Your impact on my life extends to more than football. I think I have it. Let me see if I can put it up here so y'all can see it. I actually commented in I think that was Twitter. I think I said, now this is how you leave a program. And he's not the first one to do it. There were other people that decided to leave Colorado, and they wrote things like that too. So Cash was upset that he didn't get a scholarship, I do believe. And people are actually saying that that's normal in college because they always try to find somebody who's better than you. And when they do, that's who gets the scholarship. This is a normal course of business because of NIL in college football. So 2 more people hopped in the portal today. Then this young man, he's gonna hop in the portal. The same thing at CU is happening at Ohio State. They lost 3 people right off the beginning. It's happening at Georgia. These kids are trying to find a scholarship in NIL because all of them are not going to the league. All of these kids are not going to the league, but when you look in the portal and you start to scroll down, all you see is 3-star, 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 3-star. That's who's in the portal. Because if you are 4 or 5, you're not in there for 24 hours. Nico was the only 5-star QB in there. There's lots of QBs in the portal, but they're 3 stars. So if you are 3-star, you got to think. You got to ask yourself, should I just stay here and get my degree and let them pay for it and get your master's too? Yeah. Or should I transfer to be closer to home? We lost a student, Savion Riley, to Georgia Tech. I know why they picked him up. We get ready to play Georgia Tech first. But he's also from Atlanta, so he back at home. That makes sense to me. I don't know if it's going to work out for Georgia Tech like they think, but it makes sense to me because he really made what I call a lateral move, in my opinion. You a 3-star there, you a 3-star here. You probably not, if you started, and the crazy part is he was the backup to Cameron Silver-Craig when Cam was hurt. So I'm like, why he leave? Maybe he just wanted to be back in Atlanta. Maybe he don't like Boulder. But the point is, the option for him to move was there. I heard people say freshmen shouldn't be able to transfer. False. Coaches can transfer whenever they want to. Some of them leave before the bowl games, etc. So no, the students have what they need. It's how you go about it. Don't burn no bridges. It's not even necessary because you might need to come back across this bridge one day. The young man that transferred to Atlanta, I kind of think he just wanted to be in Atlanta. I think he wanted to be home. He'd already been to 3 other schools, and he's still a 3-star. So he might have saw, well, the league might not be what I'm needed, so I might as well go home and go to school and be around my family. They could come watch me play. That could be his situation. So we shouldn't drag anybody, but fellas, there's a right way and a wrong way to do something. Just say thank you and leave everything in good standing, and you could come back if the opportunity presents itself, and it might. Pittsburgh is nice for Shedeur. Okay, so y'all like Pittsburgh, Shedeur at Pittsburgh. They know Mike is number 2, bro. Who is Mike? Oh, Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin. Yeah, when they asked Shedeur, well, how was your interview? He was like, oh, it was good. He reminded me of my pops. I think they was like, Jalen will forever be the bag. Shedeur is next. Jalen Hurts. Is that who you're talking about? Professor Prime. He is. I watched one of his classes on video. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know what I was looking at first, but I figured it out quickly. It said, nah, you had it right. It's Atlanta. Shiloh put bros on. Yeah, he did. Shiloh is a beast. I'm telling you, in the NFL, Shiloh, that dude gonna ball out. Watch what I tell you. Shiloh have gave K the business. It said money. Shiloh will bring so much money to Atlanta. Yeah, I remember year 1, there was an Atlanta scout out there. He was caught on video saying, we want both of the Sanders boys. This was year 1, well before the 4-8. But here we are. And Shiloh could end up in Atlanta, but Atlanta got bigger problems. Wayne was a good interview. Okay, so you did like it. Hey, Regina, how you doing? So we're going to get ready to get out of here. I wanted to share Aiden's story with y'all. We're going to be back tomorrow. And again, I already have where you can click on notify me. It's already scheduled. The next 3 lives, 2 days, which was today from the NFL draft. Tomorrow, the pick is in, is the day of the draft. And then you have one more day until the NFL draft. And it says who's trading up for Shedeur Sanders. So we're going to do a mock draft tomorrow. try to figure out a little bit about the top 10 teams, just a little bit, or at least figure out who's out there. At least figure out who the top 10 prospects are, and just do a quick Google search, and then we'll do a mock draft tomorrow. If I have time, I might put together a top 10 prospects and share it with y'all, and then we'll do the draft. We're going to try to do the 10 minutes, but if I can get the turbo edition, we'll do that as well. So, all right, y'all, we're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. This was awesome. Thank y'all so much for watching What She Said Sports. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for the engagement. Oh, 22 of us. Please let that be 22 likes. Y'all do an excellent job on the likes. Thank you for the new subs. Thank you to my members, family, and friends of What She Said podcast. We do have memberships. If you see the join button, click on it if you know you're going to hang out with us. That's just an excellent way to support the channel so I can continue to level up. All right, y'all. I can't do it without you, so I want to say thank you. Have a good night, everybody.